of lizard. And now, it's not our salamanders and it's not our newt, it is an actual lizard. The others are amphibians. And they're called the five-line skink. And they're called that because they have 5 lines on their back. And they have a bright blue tail when they're babies. So if you guys are up north and you see a little lizard running around, it might be our native species. But let's see if our next animal is ready to come on out and say hi. Her name is Jasmine. Might take her a second. She's a little bit slow sometimes. It's a little bit difficult to walk to head out when you don't have any legs. So this here is Jasmine, and she is a carpet python. They're called that because their pattern kind of looks like carpet. Now in the snake world, snakes are separated into 3 different categories. Category number 1 are our constrictors, making up about 80% of all snakes. They're called constrictors because they constrict around their food before they eat it. And category number 2 are our venomous species. They make up about 15% of all snakes, and they all have a venom that they will use to kill their prey. And our third and final category are our overpowering snakes. They make up just 5% of our snakes, and they all have their own individual methods of finding and killing their prey. But Jasmine here is part of that largest group. She is a constrictor, so she'll give her food a big hug before she eats it. But I'll let her head on backstage in just a second. And here in Ontario, we have 17 different species of snakes. Now, I work with reptiles, such as snakes, every single day, and I can only name about half of them. So I have a bit of a challenge or homework assignment for you, whichever you prefer. When you get home, I would like you to look up our native species of snakes, learn who they are, where you can find them, what they look like, and how we can best protect them. Because it's very important to learn about our native species that we have in our own backyards. Now for our next animal, we do have to slow it down. What's an animal that goes nice and slow? A turtle, there we go. A turtle or a tortoise. And if you don't know what the difference is, I'll let you know. Turtles tend to like to be in water. They have flippers or webbed feet, and they like to swim, while tortoises have stubby little elephant-like feet, and they like to be on land. Now, I don't have a turtle for us today. Obviously, I don't have any water for them. But I do have the next best thing, which is a tortoise. So let's see if Bubbles is ready to come on out and say hi. So this is Bubbles, and she is a red-footed tortoise, which is a species of tortoise from South America. And they're called red-footed tortoises. They have nice red dots along their arms and also on their head. And now, turtles and tortoises are actually Little Ray's most common rescue. And that is for 2 main reasons. Number 1, how long they live. So the average lifespan of turtles and tortoises is 60 to 80 years. That is a really, really long time to own an animal, which is why we have nicknamed them will pets. Because responsible pet owners will actually put them in their will. You better hope your kids or your grandkids want a turtle or a tortoise too. And reason number 2 is how much space they need. So Bubbles is not fully grown. When she is, she'll be about 8 foot long, and she'll need an entire bedroom worth of space. And not everybody is ready or willing to sacrifice an entire bedroom for a tortoise. But when she's visited our last dance, she'll head on to the back. She's been our little lawnmower here today at African Lions Bar, eating all the dandelion leaves backstage. And now we do see one reptile more commonly than others, and that would be our turtles. Has anybody here seen a turtle in the wild? Yeah, I heard a couple yeses. And a common place that we see our turtles is actually when they're crossing the road. So if you do see a turtle crossing the road, I encourage you to help them. What you can do is you can pick them up from their back with your 4 fingers underneath the bottom part of their shell with your thumb on top and what I call a hamburger hold. And if you're not comfortable doing that, or if it's a snapping turtle, you can use a car mat and just kind of shuffle them across the road that way. But if you do help them, please bring them in the direction they're going and don't put them back, because they'll just go, wait a second, I was already here, and just try and cross the road again. Now I think I've talked your ears off enough about turtles. That our next animal has woken up from his nap. Now with a name like Ketchup, what color is he? Ketchup. He is red, so let's see if he's up and at him. Let's see if he's ready to come say hello.
Hello.
So this is Ketchup, and Ketchup is a red tegu. Now, red tegus are not the only species of tegu. There are also golden tegus and black and white tegus, which are the largest, with the females getting about 5 feet long. Now, my personal favorite thing about tegus is actually the reason why we know Ketchup here is a boy. And those are his very big cheeks. They're very, very chubby. And what he'll do with them is he'll stick them out, he'll puff them out and start wiggling them around, and that's how he tries to attract himself a girlfriend. So the bigger the cheeks, the healthier the lizard. And now, another fun thing about tegus is that when they're babies, they actually live up in the trees and they're arboreal, and then when they get older, they actually go and live on the ground and they become terrestrial. It's not many animals that do that. But once he's made his way past our last stand, we'll let him head on to the back and resume his nap. He's a very sleepy tegu. And now we did at Little Reyes have a very recent rescue. His name is Teddy, and he's a black and white tegu, kind of just like Ketchup. And we actually found him wandering the streets of Cambridge. And our best guess as to what happened to him is somebody had him as a pet, decided they didn't want him anymore, and then just opened the door and let him out. And now obviously, that's not a very nice thing to do to the animal. And if it does happen, one of two things will happen. One, they'll love the outside, they'll love their new environment, they'll thrive, and then they'll become invasive and start destroying the natural ecosystem. Or two, like probably what would have happened to poor Teddy if we hadn't found him, is he wouldn't be able to handle the harsh Canadian winter. So if we do have a pet we no longer want, it is very important that we find them a new home, such as a rescue like Little Reyes or another organization. Now for our next animal, I do want to play a bit of a game. Anybody want to play a game? Yeah? Okay, it's going to be a guessing game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 3 hints, and then when our next animal comes around the corner, I want you to shout out what animal you think he is. Sound like a plan? All right, hint number 1. Our next animal is a carnivore. Now, I know some of you are probably thinking, wait a second, that's a terrible hint. So many reptiles are carnivores. We've met a couple of carnivores, but the next hints will be more helpful, I promise. Hint number 2, our next animal is a semi-aquatic predator. And hint number 3, Littlefoot has a mouth full of very sharp teeth. So I hope you all have your guesses. Remember to shout them out when he comes around the corner. So let's see if he's ready to come on out for you. I heard crocodile immediately, and he is not a crocodile. He is also not an alligator. Anybody know? He is a caiman. Good job. So caimans are a member of the crocodilian family, and specifically he is a Cuvier's dwarf caiman, which is the smallest member of the crocodilian family. But don't let his small size fool you. He is very mighty, very important, and most importantly, he's still growing. Yeah, that's right. He's a teenager. He is nowhere near fully grown. When he's fully grown, he'll be between 1.2 and 1.6 meters long. I like to repeat that. The smallest member of the crocodilian family still gets over a meter long. And now, like I said, he is a semi-aquatic predator, so he's got some unique adaptations to help him. Number 1 is his skin. So he is covered in osteoderm plating, which basically translates to bone armor. So he's got a really, really strong skin. And 2 is that nice, big, powerful tail. So he can use it a bit like a ghost runner to help propel himself forward in the water. And number 3, my personal favorite, he has 2 sets of eyelids. So he's got an eye like us, and then if he goes underwater, he's got an eye that goes across his eyes so he can actually see underwater. He's got built-in goggles. But we'll let him head on backstage and have a well-deserved break. And I'm going to tell you a little bit why I called him very important. And that is because as a Cuvier's dwarf caiman, he is what we call a keystone species. And that means that if anything were to happen to him, his entire ecosystem would be affected. Anything from the plants around him to his prey to even his predators, and yes, Cuvier's dwarf caimans have predators, would be negatively impacted. It would be really bad. So it's really, really important to learn about the keystone species in our own backyard, so that we can learn how to protect them so we can protect the entire environment. For our next animal, I need your help. So the thing is she's a very, very large snake. And she knows that a lot of